Hello and welcome to TalkFCB, and welcome back here to the channel, guys. With the transfer window now over, Ernesto Valverde is fully aware of what he's got in his team. He knows his squad, he knows who he's going to be dealing with for the season to come, and for that reason, in today's video, we are going to be looking at the Barcelona squad, exactly what we've got, what we haven't got, and exactly what the pecking order is right now in that team. What is our best lineup? What have we got from the bench? Where is our strengths? Where are our weaknesses? It's all coming up in today's squad analysis, coming to you guys. Let's do this! Because right now, Barcelona have officially published their squad numbers, which are confirmed for the coming season, which there includes 21 first-team players in total, and as you'll recognise there are a few absentees for those that we've seen in the team in the past few weeks. The likes of Iñaki Peña, Ricky Puig, Carlos Perez, and Ansu Fati are all still registered there as Barcelona B players. So by all means, they're going to play some first-team games. I hope that we see many of them during the season to come, but of course, they're not registered as first-team players. They are B players, and this right here is going to be looking at the full squad, those included, and exactly who's in favour right now, and why. And so, if we start here by looking through each position one by one, and exactly who is where in the pecking order, starting of course in goal with Marc-Andre ter Stegen, who is the undisputed number one at Barcelona, absolutely no doubt about that, with Neto there as second choice. Right now he's out injured, so in his place as the third goalkeeper would be Iñaki Peña there as the third goalkeeper. Those are our three keepers throughout the season. That is the pecking order that's going to stay that way. That is not going to change. Now, at right back coming in, this is where it starts to get quite interesting now in the Barcelona first team, because as of right now, Nelson Semedo is the undisputed number one right back after Ernesto Valverde said, look, Roberto is going to be this season in midfield. So he there is the undisputed right back, and his deputy is Musa Waga, who's been promoted this season to the first team. However, I think here what we have to see, what we really have to see, is Nelson Semedo starting to step up and really start playing and playing well, because I think if he doesn't really step up his game, if he doesn't start to perform, it's not going to take much for Valverde there just to slip into his old ways, and for Roberto there to go back to being the right back of Barcelona, because as we saw against Osasuna, Semedo wasn't exactly playing well. He hasn't really started the season brilliantly, it has to be said, and Roberto was straight back in there at right back, and like I say, it's not going to take too much for Valverde there just to slip back into those ways, and Semedo, he's got to grab this chance. At left back though, it is much more straightforward with Jordi Alba currently the first choice, undisputed first choice, with new signing Junior Firpo there as his deputy. But like we say, as the season goes on, we want to see Junior Firpo growing in stature, growing in confidence, and putting as much pressure as possible on Alba there in the left back area. And at centre back, things are also pretty secure right now. Gerard Piqu is the right centre back. He is there the first choice, with Clement Longley there as the left centre back. The deputy there for Gerard Piqu on the right hand side is Jong who hasn't played yet this season in the first team for Barcelona. He hasn't even really been on the bench either, so Valverde needs to give him some playing time there to keep him interested and keep the faith and the confidence going in young Todibo, with Samuel Umtiti still the deputy to Clement Longley, with still doubts remaining over his fitness. He wasn't even called up to the French national team until there was an injury to Laporte, then he was included, but clearly right now Umtiti has a lot of work to do, a lot of people to prove wrong this season, and a big campaign coming up for him. But right now, Piqué, Longley, they are the undisputed pairing at centre-back, and it is going to take something very special to change Ernesto Valverde's mind on that. And as we work now into midfield, Sergio Busquets, of course, is the undisputed starter there in the defensive midfield area, even with the arrival of Frenkie de Jong, who does appear to be playing now as an interior, not as a holding midfielder. That's the position right now that Valverde is using him in, somebody there who can get involved in all phases of play. And I think right now we're asking Frenkie de Jong to do too much, but I think certainly that is an area that we're going to use him in. And to the left then, it seems like Sergio Roberto. Right now it does seem as though Valverde has said, look, Roberto is not going to be at right back, and Rakitic is frozen out, so what we are going to do is basically include Roberto every single game. Rakitic, of course, would have entertained that role. Rakitic would have been in that role previously, but with him frozen out over the transfer period, Roberto has come in. Rakitic is somewhere around here. We don't really know how he's going to slot back in now. Now, the fact that he is still at the club, he hasn't left, is Valverde going to include him again? You've then got Arturo Vidal, who I think is there somewhere between the two. He's not really been involved either from the start. And then you've got Arthur Melo, who right now is being placed behind Roberto in the pecking order. But for me, those two definitely should be swapped. Arthur there should be the undisputed starter in that centre midfield area, alongside Frenkie de Jong, with Sergio Busquets in the holding midfield areas. But of course then, you've also got Carlos Alenya, somebody there completely different in midfield, somebody who needs to be involved more. I think there in the pecking order, he should be just behind Frenkie de Jong in those kind of areas, somebody there to give us something different. And of course, we can't also forget, we do have as well Riqui Puig, somebody there who will want some minutes this season. We do want to see Puig involved in the first team. Where are those minutes going to come from? Because as you can see there, he is very, very much so in a crowded midfield. There's a lot of midfield players there. That's what I mean about Rakitic. Where is he going to come back in? Is he going to come back in now as an immediate starter? Is he going to jump ahead of Frenkie de Jong in the pecking order? That shouldn't happen for me. It should be de Jong, it should be Arthur, it should be Busquets. You've got alternatives here in Arturo Vidal, you've got Carlos Alenya, you've got Roberto there coming off the bench for an impact. But in terms of starters, Arthur, de Jong, Busquets. And if you want to change it up, maybe change your own Busquets. In some games this season, bring in Arturo Vidal, bring in Rakitic, and sub Busquets off because he is getting on. But the two that should play a lot of games, de Jong and Arthur. Make no mistake about that. And as we move on now to the attacking areas, one man that you can guarantee if he's fit, he's going to be playing. Of course, it's Lionel Messi, and he is going to operate roundabout on this right-hand side. But as we know, he can move centrally, and he can do all different things there in the attacking areas. But Messi here on the right-hand side, if we start him, then it's very interesting for me. It's very, very interesting what we do with Luis Suarez and what we do with Antoine Griezmann. Is Griezmann the automatic starter there in the number 9 position? Is Suarez there the deputy in that centre-forward role? Or is Suarez actually right now, when he returns to fitness, is he going to be first choice? And Griezmann then maybe the starter, but from the left-hand side. That's the thing to bear in mind right now. Where do those two fit in Valverde's plans? Are we planning on playing them together? Or is it going to be one or the other? Before Suarez got injured, it was both of them together, but we didn't have Messi then, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see when all three are fit, how it works. And of course, you've got to consider this man, Ousmane Dembele. Where does he come into all this? Because if Griezmann is the out-and-out starter there as the number 9, if you are going to play one or the other with Suarez and Griezmann, Lionel Messi on the right-hand side, then you can put Dembele quite easily, quite happily on the left-hand side there, an out-and-out winger, somebody for that creativity, a lot of pace, a lot of energy, certainly there. That could be a very, very effective front three. And of course, you can't forget the two players who've been very, very lively whilst those guys have been injured. Carlos Perez can operate here as a backup on that right-hand side. He can also play on the left as well, but Carlos Perez there will get some minutes, I feel. Certainly, he will be sticking around the first team here. With those injuries that we have, he can be very, very effective. And much the same here for Ansu Fati, somebody who really impressed when he came on against Real Betis. Exactly the same there, scoring his first goal against Osasuna. And I think Perez, I think Fati, with the fact that we didn't bring anybody in, the fact that we got rid of Rafinha, the fact we sold Malcolm, there will be opportunities there for Perez, for Fati, players in those attacking lineups who can come in and can make an impact. And I think right now, certainly, if you are looking at that team, if you are looking there at that squad depth, what you would say quite clearly is that midfield is very, very overcrowded. I think there's far too many names in there, far too many similar types of players in that midfield. That's why we were so intent on getting rid of Rakitic, maybe trying to get rid of Arturo Vidal as well. Players there who maybe are on high wages and we didn't necessarily need to keep them. I think at centre-back we're very, very well stacked. I think right-back can be an issue. I think if Semedo doesn't really find his game, if Roberto is going to go back in there, Waggy I think needs to be given a chance. The right-back is a bit of a concern for me. Left-back is good, much, much better than last year. Alba, Junior Firpo, very, very good to see there. But I think if you had to outline one position, one sort of area where we were lacking right now, it is the wider areas. In the attacking third, have we got enough strength in depth? Have we got enough quality? Letting go of Malcolm, letting go of Rafinha. If we are going to put our faith in Carlos Perez, in Ansu Fati, I'm fine with that. I'm very, very happy to do that. But we've got to do that now because we are lacking in numbers. And Valverde, he's got to be brave with it. He's got to include them. He's got to keep them confident because they will have to. During the season, they've got to make an impact. We will need them. And with all that considered, guys, if you ask me, considering that squad depth, considering exactly what we've got in our team, what would be your best team if we were in a Champions League final tomorrow? What would you do? This, for me, is what you do. This, for me, is a team that you can build on, that you can grow, that as the future goes on, it'll get better and better and better. I think there's so much quality about this team. There really, really is. And good balance as well. Ter Stegen in goal, Alba, Longley, Piqué, Semedo. A back four there that I think certainly throughout the season should get very consistent minutes. They should really build up some partnerships and strengthen that. very much so. Busquets, Arthur, De Jong. That for me is a midfield that can cope with all different types of opponents. They can be press resistant, they can play on the counter-attack, they can really press high and also get in the faces of the opposition. They've got all the different types of characteristics there to get at teams. It doesn't matter what you're up against, it doesn't matter who you're playing, they can find a way to make it work. With the ball, without the ball, you've got Busquets there, your intelligence, your experience, you've got Arthur Melo, somebody there who can keep the ball moving, somebody there who can keep calm, who can resist the press and also can get forward as well, as you saw against Osasuna, and get himself a goal, get in and around the area and make things happen. And Frenkie de Jong, somebody who for me can do it all, surrounded by Busquets, surrounded by Arthur. Those two players will give him solutions, and I think really in that midfield he could make it work with those three. That trio is very exciting. And then up front, Dembele, Griezmann, Messi. Yes, it would hurt for sure to leave Suarez on the bench, but the time has come now for Griezmann to take over that mantle. 120 million euros. He's got to lead our line. He's got to lead our line with Messi to the right, with Dembele from the left. He will get chances. He will get goals. And I think that team there is exciting. That is a Barcelona team, and that is a team that we want to see. But of course, guys, as always, I want to know your thoughts. What do you think here of the Barcelona squad? What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? What is an area really we haven't improved and we should have done over the summer? Let me know in the comments down below. And of course, what would your best lineup be? If we were playing a Champions League final tomorrow, how would you line up? How would you do things? Let me know in the comments down below. And of course, I'll be back soon. I've got more uploads coming. Don't worry about that. Until then, though, as always, Vasca el Barça.